How did the 50-year-old man who used to pick up people during the Ramadan Sehri get the village's virgin girls pregnant? When the old man was handed over to the police, he told such a secret that Sabki screamed because "My name is Shabnam. I belong to a village in Punjab. We villagers are still living the old life in today's era, where an old man still roams the streets of the village to wake up the Sehri. In our village, too, a similar 50-year-old man used to come to wake up the Sehri. This story is about this Baba, which will make your hair stand on end after hearing it. My eyes were wide open at the sound of my mother's voice. She used to wake me up 2 hours before Sehri so that I could go and fetch water. We villagers had to arrange water for Sehri from the well, and I always had to go for it. By the way, this task was very heavy on me, but today I woke up very happily, and there was a special reason behind it. I quickly got up and got ready. Hidden from my mother, I applied dark mascara to my eyes, and when I saw myself in the mirror, I felt ashamed of myself. I was a very young and beautiful girl of 17 years old, for whom the entire village was devoted. After taking one last look at myself, I left with a matka on my waist. My mother had woken me up well in advance so that there would be no rush at the well and I would quickly fill the water and return home. I was walking slowly, looking here and there, because I was waiting for someone special. The village dogs were fast asleep, and there was silence all around. A voice rang in my ears. "Get up and have suhoor, you who are fasting." Hearing this voice, a smile automatically came to my face. I started thinking, how can this 50-year-old Baba, in his trembling voice, wake up sleeping people? It was a big deal that his voice could reach only 2 houses, but, well, this was his livelihood. He worked like this for the whole month and then collected money from the houses around Eid. As I walked, I reached the well and felt as if someone was near me. My heart started beating fast. Actually, Kashif had sent me a message yesterday evening that he would come to the well to meet me in the morning, and it was for this reason that I had come out dressed up, and I felt that he was the one who was trying to annoy me. With this thought, my face turned red with shame, and I started jingling my bangles so that I could tell Kashif that I had come to know about his presence. Kashif was my fiancé, and he often found a way to meet me secretly. We had loved each other since childhood. He was also my cousin. But after the engagement, we both had to make great efforts to meet because old customs were established in the village and meetings between a boy and a girl were not considered appropriate. That is why Kashif had secretly arranged for a meeting today. Upon reaching the well, I kept the matka aside and took off my chinri and put it on the wall of the well. I found it very difficult to draw water from the well with the chinri and fill the matka. I put a bucket in the well and started filling it with water so that I could finish filling it before Kashif came, and then sit with him and have some loving conversations. I had just put the bucket in the well when I felt someone's fingers on my waist. A hand was crawling on my waist, and the strings of my blouse were slowly opening. Kashif often did such a thing. That's why I was shying away from myself. She must have been a man, moving very quickly, untying all the strings one after the other. I was blushing with shame. The thought of Kashif was playing a fiery tune in my heart. I felt that it must be him who had come to meet me, and once again he must have started losing control of himself. Whenever he came to meet me, he used to be uncontrollable with emotions, and would also express the intensity of his emotions. Then someone from behind grabbed me and held me in his arms and started touching my entire being with his hand. Fingers were crawling on every part of my body, and I could also feel the intensity of the heat of someone's lips on my neck. My heart started to flutter. I tried to stop him, but he held both my hands tightly with one of his hands. So I said softly, "Kashif, don't do such things. I have to go back home. I don't have much time. And then the other people from the village will also come to collect water. There are not many days left for our marriage. After that, I will become yours." But instead of listening to me, his whims increased, and as soon as he slid the blouse down my shoulders, I immediately panicked. I was afraid that some other villager might reach the well to fill the water. While it was very difficult for me to stop Kashif, Kashif often started to lose control in love, and I had to stop him with great difficulty. I wanted all this between us to happen after marriage, and even now when he tried to remove my blouse, I immediately turned around in anger, and as soon as my eyes fell on that face playing with existence, my life left me. Before I could scream, he clamped his fingers on my mouth and then dragged me to a deserted place which was quite far from the well, and then some. In a moment, he had stripped me naked and quenched his thirst for lust with my existence. I could neither free myself nor scream. I was trampled on in such a way that I did not even have the courage to stand up. Tears were flowing from my eyes, and the image of Kashif was fading before my eyes. The one I had taken for Kashif was a 50-year-old man. And then he pulled me close to him, and as soon as my eyes fell completely on his face, I felt like I would not be able to breathe. I knew this face well, but I had not thought that such a good-looking man would do all this to me in the darkness of the night. After a whole hour, I reached home, stumbling. I had a pot full of water in my hand, which I was holding with great difficulty. Half of the water had spilled on the way, and my clothes were also soaked. When Amma saw half of the water in the pot, she angrily said, "Shabnam, you are not doing a job properly." She returned after an hour, and she also took so much water. Who will perform ablution with it, and how will sehri be prepared? Amma cursed me and got busy with her work. I entered the bathroom with my bag. I took off my clothes and saw the marks of wounds on my body and the blood oozing from the stones. I did not have the courage to tell my Amma what had happened to me. My honor had been taken away. I was completely ruined. I had nothing to tell anyone or to lose. I didn't even know if Kashif had come to meet me or not. After my ruin, when I reached the well, he was still there. Amma had sent me a little early so that the work would be done on time, but still I had come late. Amma was angry about this. As soon as it was time for sehri, I took poison and ate 2 bites with great difficulty and broke my fast. My condition was so bad that I could not stop crying. I hid my face from Amma and prayed to Allah that somehow my honor would be preserved and that I would not tell anyone in the village about this, and then I lay down on the bed like that. I had thought that I would not go to the well to fill water. The next day, Kashif came to our house in the afternoon. My father was not at home, My mother did not interfere much with him, so he went straight to me and said angrily, "Shabnam, where did you stay yesterday? I waited for you at the well for so long." Seeing Kashif, I looked away. Now what should I tell him that what has happened to me has happened? Kashif said angrily, "I had brought you an Eid gift." Then he took out some bangles and put them in my hand and said, "You must wear them on Eid. After Eid, I will talk about my marriage with you." His face was full of joy. He loved me very much, and I was thinking that when he comes to know that I am no longer a virgin, I wonder what he will do. For a moment, I thought of telling her what had happened to me at the well, but then I didn't have the courage, so I kept quiet, and she went back. At night, I told my mother clearly that I would not go to the well. I would send my father to fetch water. My mother looked at me with stern eyes and said, "Your father has been harvesting all day. He is not ashamed to tell you this. So you keep returning home all day. What is your job? You only have to fetch water from a well." I told my mother, "It is very quiet. I am scared." Hearing my words, my mother looked at me with deep eyes and said, "In the morning you had put on mascara and went out. Then how come you suddenly started feeling scared?" Hearing my words, I jumped. I thought that my mother would not be able to guess my movements, but a mother is a mother. She is aware of every move of her children. Amma looked at me from head to toe and said, "You must have met Kashif. That's why you are dying to go to the well. I will go myself. Anyway, after Eid, your father will arrange your marriage. Kashif often visits our house. The villagers are making up stories. The young daughter's fiancé is shouting and calling her home. Before anything happens, I will make you belong to his family." Amma had said this and went to sleep, thinking that it would be better if I left as soon as possible so that this matter would be covered up. 15 days of fasting had passed, and I had not left the house. I was so scared that even a small sound would make me feel like I was dying, especially when the sound of the wake-up call for Sehri came. I felt as if someone had taken my soul. This time was very difficult for me. Seeing my changing condition, my mother was asking me what was the matter. Why had I stopped going out? My mother felt that there had been a fight between me and Kashif, but I told her that I was just tired due to fasting and I wanted to rest. My mother was surprised to hear me because I was one of those girls whose feet did not rest at home. I wanted a chance to go out. And then, 15 days later, my health suddenly deteriorated. My mother said to keep my hands light during iftar so that my health would not deteriorate. But despite taking precautions, my health continued to deteriorate. Then my mother took me to the village healer, who checked me and gave me such news that my hair stood on end. For how long did I stare at Hakima's face in disbelief? I had stopped showing my face to my mother to hide what Hakima had said so loudly in a clinic full of patients that I thought I would not be able to take another breath. The village women sitting in the back row also opened their mouths because everyone had heard Hakima's words, and after that, they started throwing such mud at me that I had closed my ears. Everyone was telling my mother that if you allow a young boy to enter the house, then this day will have to be seen. We had already explained that you should not let your daughter's fiancé enter the house, but you did not listen to anything, and now look what you have to see. After hearing the women's words, my mother started beating me in front of Hakima and angrily said, "Tell me the truth. Why did you do this? I told you that I would marry you and Kashif after Eid. Then why are you feeding me flowers?" It was necessary. The whole village has become a disgrace. I refused while crying and told my mother that Kashif has not done anything. I don't know who has done all this, but Kashif is not at fault. When my mother started asking, "Then tell me whose child is in your stomach," I silently looked down because I didn't have the answer to my mother's question. I just said that I don't know whose child this is. My mother was shocked to hear what I said, and even the women of the village could not believe it. Everyone was talking bad about me and Kashif. After a while, this news reached Kashif and his family. Something was going on in our village. Kashif and his mother came to our house. She was staring at me with very evil eyes and asking who this child belongs to and who I have wronged. I sat at Kashif's feet and told him, "Believe me, I have done nothing wrong. I do not know who this child belongs to. All I know is that you are not at fault and I am not at fault either." Kashif gave me a hard slap and said, "From today, you and I have nothing to do with each other." His mother broke off her relationship with me and went back. Seeing this, I was shocked. My mother's condition was also similar. One after another, the villagers were coming to our house and everyone had strange questions on their lips. My mother and father's condition was very bad. The news that my mother was trying to hide from everyone kept spreading. Then the villagers also came to know that this child was not Kashif's, so more scandal started to spread that I had a relationship with someone else while I was still a fiancé. 2 days passed like this when it was found out that Aunt Rashida's daughter was from Omid. She was a poor 16-year-old girl. Hearing about it, the whole village was shocked. Then news of one girl getting pregnant after another started coming. In the next 4 days, it was found out that about 10 virgin girls in the village were from Omid. The news spread like wildfire that the village girls had become immoral and were blackening their faces with no one to whom they were talking, while the girls' parents were very worried. The matter was raised in the panchayat that someone was impregnating the village girls. The Sardar listened to everyone and then gave the order that the culprit would be found first. Only then will further action be taken. First, it is necessary to find out who the father of these children is. Then, the Sardar started his own investigation, and 2 days later, the Panchayat met again, and everyone's eyes widened in surprise when they saw the person the Sardar presented as the culprit, because he was a 50-year-old man who used to roam the streets of the village to wake up the people for the morning prayer. The chief said that there could be no one else but him, because he roams around the entire village in the dark of night. He knows very well which young girl is in whose house. Surely this is his own achievement. The chief handed him over to the people and said, "Beat him so much that he never sets foot in this village again." Saying this, the chief ended the panchayat, and he cast a deep look at the 10 girls who were sitting in a corner with yellow faces. Then the chief asked them that you have no objection to my decision. Everyone shook their heads in denial. Who could have walked before the chief? He himself went back to his mansion. The people had just started beating the old man when the village elders stepped forward and stopped everyone and said that this matter should be taken to the police. We cannot punish this old man with our own hands because the story of his share is still pending. It is important for us to know how he has raped so many girls so that no one looks at our girls the wrong way again. How could he enter our home so easily and play with our dignity? The police will bring this to light. Everyone thought the old man's words were appropriate. That's why everyone called the village police. The police took the old man into custody and started interrogating him in front of everyone. But the old man flatly refused and said, "I hardly make a sound to wake up for the morning prayer. I do this for 4 paisa. Why would I play with the dignity of these girls?" I am not guilty. However, I know who the real culprit is. Till now, I had remained silent out of fear because I am a poor person. I was afraid that if I told anyone about this, my life would be taken away. But even if I remained silent now, my life would end. That's why I want to tell everyone the truth, that this work is not mine, but that of another old man. And then the whole village was shocked to hear the statement that the old man who woke up the morning prayer gave to the police. Then the interrogation of the girls began. All the girls opened their mouths, and the truth came out in front of everyone, which no one could have imagined. After the old man, my statement was taken first because I was the first girl who got pregnant. At first I was afraid and kept quiet, but when the police assured me that they would protect me, I supported the old man's statement and told the police that when I went to fill water at the well in the dark of night and I felt someone behind me, I thought my fiancé must have come to meet me. But as soon as I turned around, I saw that it was none other than the village chief who was looking at me from all sides with his big red eyes. I couldn't understand what the chief was doing at the well at that hour of the night, and then as soon as I saw him, he grabbed my face and took me to a deserted place and started playing with my dignity. After that, he threatened me that if I told anyone about this, he would kill my parents and family. I remained silent out of fear, but the shame fell on my throat. After me, the statements of the other girls were taken and they all said that the chief had used them at some point or the other, and by blaming the person who woke me up for the morning prayer, the chief easily saved himself. The villagers were very worried because the village chief had turned out to be the bad guy, but the police informed the higher authorities, and after some time a major operation was carried out and the chief was arrested. The policeman of our village was another honest man. He did not fear the chief but Allah. That is why he took action against the chief and saved us all from his cruelty. The entire village was mourning the loss of us 10 girls. When Kashif came to know the whole truth, he came to me and started apologizing to me. Then he put his hand on my head and said, "Forgive me. I am ready to marry you right after Eid because you are not to blame for all this. You kept your mouth shut to save the lives of your family, and I considered you guilty." Tears welled up in my eyes after hearing Kashif's words. There are only a few fasts left, after which Kashif and I are to get married, but that night still stings in my eyes like a torment. An old chieftain had played with the honor of the young girls of the village and tried to bury them alive forever. Allah Almighty did justice to him, and today the chieftain is behind bars. Otherwise, we would have spent our entire lives trying to prove ourselves innocent. The chieftain had threatened us so badly that none of us had spoken against him. It was the old man who woke us up at dawn, who had the courage and brought the truth of the chieftain before everyone. Thanks to him, we had regained our lost honor. That is why I am very grateful to this old man. You guys tell me who is really responsible for what happened in the village? Should the villagers have sent their daughters to the well alone like this? Should I have kept secret meetings with my fiancée because if I hadn't rushed to the well at Kashif's call, maybe all this wouldn't have happened? Did the chief have the right to use his position to bring the village's virgin girls to the brink of ruin?